Welcome back to From Kitchen to C-Suite, the podcast that dissects the business of hospitality and explores the pathways from the back of the house to the boardroom. I'm your host, Don. For the last few years, the narrative around the hospitality sector has been dominated by a single, persistent problem, the quote, labor shortage. We've all internalized the visual cues, the hastily printed "please be patient" signs taped to every restaurant window, the abbreviated operating hours, the rising menu prices that make you double take at the check. The easy, surface-level conclusion is that this is simply a matter of people not wanting to work, or a temporary, post-pandemic hangover from the chaotic 20s. But if that's where your analysis stops, you are critically missing the forest for the trees. The issue we face today is not a simple supply and demand curve that can be fixed with a few extra dollars an hour. It is a much deeper, more systemic fracture, running through the very foundation of our industry's professional pipeline. Today, we are moving past the sticker shock and diving into a phenomenon that we at Kitchen to C-Suite have been tracking, and which we are calling the structural void in the missing middle. Think of the hospitality world as a corporate ladder, or perhaps more aptly, a pyramid. At the base, we have an abundance of entry-level passion and talent, the energetic hosts, the culinary school graduates eager to be line cooks, and the servers looking to make good money in their early careers. At the very top, we have plenty of high-level executives, the CFBEs, the C-suite operators, and the celebrated celebrity chefs who own or manage multiple concepts. But the bridge between these two worlds, the crucial foundational layer of skilled, career-minded professionals, is collapsing. This missing middle is composed of the experienced sous chefs ready to become executive chefs, the assistant general managers poised to take over full store operations, the career path GMs, the regional directors, and the specialized mid-level operators who actually manage budgets, lead training, handle vendor relations, and ultimately keep the entire economic engine of the industry turning smoothly. These are the people who mentor the entry-level staff and translate the C-suite vision into tangible, daily execution. They are disappearing. Why is this essential middle management tier hollowed out, leaving the industry with a massive, unfillable experience gap? And perhaps more critically, what does this structural void mean for the future quality, consistency, and ultimately the viability of the American dining experience? We're here to find out. In this episode, we'll investigate the Great Disconnect. We'll analyze why massive, sector-wide wage hikes at the hourly level, while necessary and beneficial for frontline staff, have failed to close the management gap. We will examine the data that shows the compensation increase for a general manager position often doesn't adequately reflect the exponential increase in hours, stress, and required specialized skill compared to a high-earning server or line cook, leading to a dramatic retention problem. Career stagnation and burnout. We'll explore how the lack of a clear, financially rewarding, and professionally respected middle is forcing our most promising talent, those with 5 to 10 years of deep operational experience, to prematurely abandon the industry for cleaner, more predictable, and better compensated roles in sectors like logistics, tech-focused project management, or corporate training. The solutions: reimagining the climb. Finally, we'll look at real-world case studies of savvy C-suite leaders and human resource innovators who are tackling this problem head-on. We'll discuss how they are fundamentally reimagining the corporate ladder, investing heavily in structured, accredited internal training programs, and creating a sustainable, attractive path to save their kitchens and their careers. Grab a coffee or a shift meal, settle in, and let's get to work. We're going deep on the true nature of the labor crisis, the one no one is talking about right now. The hospitality sector is currently facing its most formidable challenge: a structural, protracted shortage of seasoned professionals. While coordinated initiatives have successfully stabilized entry-level recruitment, the focus has fundamentally shifted to a devastating missing middle, the pivotal stratum of skilled managers, sous chefs, and senior operational personnel indispensable for sustaining high-volume, profitable enterprises. This is not merely a staffing shortfall. It constitutes a profound crisis of expertise, professional stewardship, and institutional knowledge. The acute management vacuum. Contemporary labor market analytics affirm that the crisis is overwhelmingly concentrated in the senior and mid-levels of operational command. Despite the industry generating over 100,000 positions in the preceding year, a sobering 77% of operators identify the acquisition and retention of skilled general managers and head chefs as their foremost impediment. The core, foundational expertise requisite for successful, enduring restaurant operations, including P&L management, granular cost control, precise inventory oversight, and high-volume kitchen execution, is systematically deficient in the present talent pool. As Marcus, a veteran regional director for a multi-concept corporation, observes, the veterans, those highly experienced individuals, departed en masse during the post-pandemic burnout and subsequent periods of duress. Crucially, the ready-made middle, Those experienced persons positioned to advance from an advanced line cook role to sous chef or from an assistant server to a shift manager is simply unavailable to backfill the deficit. This significant professional void is now directly impacting financial performance, compelling otherwise profitable restaurants to curtail operating hours, spend lunch services, and ultimately impeding essential growth and expansion initiatives. 40% threshold, wage compression and cost pressures. The industry's concerted and necessary pursuit of elevated minimum wages, $16 to $20 per hour in numerous major metropolitan areas, has irrevocably altered restaurant financial models. While furnishing a vital and long overdue amelioration for the lowest earners, this transition has concurrently induced significant wage compression across the entire remuneration structure, propelling overall labor expenditure from a historical, manageable 30% of revenue to a frequent, alarming 35 to 40% of total expenses. An economist elucidates the unavoidable ripple effect. When your entry-level dishwasher is compensated at $19 per hour, your highly skilled, lead-line cook, who is expected to oversee a station and train subordinates, requires compensation at $28 or $30 per hour, merely to preserve the essential internal hierarchy and professional deference. Absent this critical differential, they will resign. That necessity of scaling wages upward through the hierarchy is precisely what is driving overall labor costs into the 40% danger zone. This diminishing margin for error has rendered skilled, efficacious leadership more vital than at any point previously. The impact of this compression is differentiated across sectors. Quick service, QSR. The historical benchmark for labor costs typically approximated 25%, but as of spring 2026, the average has escalated to between 28% and 30%. The primary factor driving this change is the imperative to compensate the limited number of remaining experienced supervisors and the significantly greater training costs incurred due to sustained high turnover among entry-level personnel who lack effective guidance from experienced supervisors. Consequently, these establishments are experiencing a discernible reduction in operational efficiency, compelling many to rely more heavily upon costly automated ordering platforms to maintain service speed. Casual dining. These enterprises, which traditionally aimed for a 30% labor cost, are now contending with current averages ranging from 35% to 38%. The paucity of mid-level management has engendered a void in shift leadership, resulting in an increased reliance on expensive overtime remuneration for the few remaining floor managers, who must now assume responsibility for multiple shifts and managerial duties. This burden not only inflates payroll, but also severely compromises the consistency of the dining experience, as seasoned personnel are overextended across larger sections and more intricate service demands. Fine dining. For elite fine dining establishments, the financial milieu has become even more demanding. While their historical target was already high at 35% to account for high-touch service, the 2026 average has surged to 40% or more. In this specialized segment, the effect of the missing middle is acutely evident through the necessity of dispensing substantial premium wages to secure scarce, highly proficient executive chefs, pastry chefs, and sommeliers, capable of upholding the exacting standards anticipated by elite clientele. With fewer trained professionals entering the pipeline via conventional apprenticeship models, these restaurants are frequently compelled into costly bidding wars for talent, making the expense of expertise the single largest, most volatile burden on their profitability. The 2026 Playbook, Cultivating Resilience. The era of ephemeral signing bonuses is demonstrably concluded, as they proved wholly ineffectual in resolving the core, revolving door dilemma. The industry's new, progressive operational framework focuses intently on two core pillars, strategically devised to cultivate, retain, and develop the missing middle: predictability and versatility. Predictable scheduling, the lifestyle anchor. Leading restaurants are fundamentally reorganizing their work weeks and implementing predictive scheduling protocols, furnishing employee rosters and shift assignments a minimum of 14 days in advance. This essential stability is crucial for personnel to effectively manage personal lives, childcare arrangements, and family obligations, directly counteracting the appeal of the flexible, but often precarious, gig economy. It constitutes an acknowledgement that modern professionals necessitate a work-life equilibrium that the restaurant industry has historically failed to provide. The rise of the hybrid employee, the versatility hedge, aggressive, continuous cross-training has become an operational necessity. By proactively instructing servers in basic preparation tasks, training host staff for inventory management, or certifying bartenders for fundamental floor management responsibilities, restaurants can operate with leaner, more adaptable, and ultimately more resilient teams. This investment in expanding the skill set of a single employee yields multiple operational capabilities, simultaneously justifying the requisite higher compensation and providing the employee with a defined career trajectory. The bottom line, the restaurants that are not merely surviving but flourishing in 2026 are those that have fundamentally transformed their organizational culture. They have progressed beyond perceiving staff as expendable, temporary labor and now regard them as valuable, long-term assets. By purposefully converting kitchens and dining rooms into consistent, structured classrooms and investing deliberately in internal advancement pathways, stable compensation models, and predictable schedules, the industry is slowly and assiduously rebuilding the professional, career-oriented class it so profoundly forfeited. The long-term vitality and future of dining is wholly contingent upon this profound cultural commitment to cultivating and sustaining the missing middle. Concluding our extensive analysis of the missing middle within the restaurant labor market, the ramifications for the future trajectory of the hospitality industry are profoundly significant. The central tenet that must be understood by every proprietor, operator, and executive is unequivocal. This crisis fundamentally represents a scarcity of viable career progression frameworks, rather than a mere deficiency of entry-level personnel. The talent infrastructure of our industry is currently characterized by a critical discontinuity. We observe a substantial influx of high-caliber, ambitious individuals entering the market at the foundational level, ready to pursue upward mobility. Concurrently, sophisticated high-level strategy and vision reside at the apex, the C-suite and ownership tiers. However, the essential intermediate tiers, the true middle management echelon, are significantly degraded or altogether absent. This crucial layer of experienced career-committed managers, who serve as the necessary bridge between operational execution and strategic directives, has become a structural vacuum. These professionals are responsible for mentorship, staff development, standard enforcement, cost management, and culture cultivation. Without them, the industry lacks the requisite stability, consistency, and internal mechanism for cultivating successive generations of leadership. The current paradigm inappropriately assigns managerial responsibilities to entry-level employees and requires C-suite executives to oversee daily operations, resulting in untenable pressure at both ends of the organizational spectrum. To effectively resolve the visible staffing shortage challenge, characterized by high employee turnover and retention difficulties, we must first address the internal, future leadership requirement. This necessitates a substantial and strategic reinvestment in the middle management tier. This tier must be conceptualized not merely as a controllable labor expense to be minimized, but as the central driver of the industry's long-term stability, prosperity, and profitability. This mandates offering competitive compensation, comprehensive benefits packages, advanced leadership training, and a clearly articulated, demonstrable path toward senior executive roles. Only through this commitment can we reconstruct the organizational foundation necessary for sustained expansion. I am Don, and I thank you for your participation in this vital discourse on From Kitchen to C-Suite. Next week, we will transition our focus to an equally imperative subject: the invisible ROI of sustainable sourcing. We will meticulously examine how ethical and locally focused sourcing practices, which may initially present as elevated costs, ultimately translate into invaluable returns in brand equity, consumer fidelity, employee morale, and long-term risk mitigation. Our discussion will quantify the intangible advantages that profoundly impact the financial bottom line. Until our next broadcast, maintain the intensity in the kitchen and the strategic perspective in the boardroom. This podcast, which is dedicated to elevating the professional discourse and standards within the culinary and hospitality sectors, is made possible through the steadfast commitment of our sponsors. We extend our sincere gratitude to HRB Universal. Their comprehensive resources, industry-leading certifications, and dedication to excellence are fundamental in empowering professionals across the culinary and hospitality sectors. They furnish the essential tools and training required for individuals to successfully navigate the career progression framework discussed today. The Plate and Pour Collective Equity Partner Program. This pioneering initiative establishes a new benchmark for fostering mutual success and equitable growth within the food and beverage industry. By providing vital resources and partnership opportunities, they are actively contributing to the development of a more inclusive, stable, and prosperous future, directly addressing the structural necessities of our market. Innovation, unwavering commitment, and the appropriate professional network are the key elements propelling the journey from the kitchen to the C-suite. We strongly recommend that you utilize the invaluable resources and unparalleled support provided by our sponsors. To connect with HRB Universal and the Plate and Pour Collective Equity Partner Program, please visit hrbuni.com or conduct a search for HRB Universal. We look forward to your presence next week as we continue to explore compelling topics designed to enhance your professional career and entrepreneurial ambition.